your job as a leader is to put the best team on the field. That's it.
Yeah.
Besides all the process and all that funky stuff, you have to put the right team on the field. To do that, you have to love hiring, get focused on sourcing. And in order to even do that, you got to have the right budget. Like it actually is like number one of what you need to do to like field a great team is to have the budget buy-in to get those people out there.
Hey, welcome to the Support Lab. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Daniel Rose, VP of Global Customer Experience at Alation. Daniel has a wealth of experience, having led support teams across multiple companies. So before we dive into the details, Daniel, first, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. How are you today?
Honored to be here. I'm good, man. It's been a great day. I'd be a liar if I didn't say I wasn't incredibly excited about the holidays coming up, but I got nothing to complain about. It's a great day.
So I'd love for you to introduce yourself, maybe tell us a bit about your journey in support and what brought you to where you are today.
Awesome. Yeah, I've had the pleasure of doing people or customer facing things for 25 or 30 years ever since I got my first paycheck. I started my career well before technology. I owned a pizza restaurant. I was a nurse in a psych ward. I went door to door raising money for nonprofit groups. So I've always been doing things
Okay.
that engage people and mostly with the core idea of service, right? The ability to serve other people, serving community, and in the end, a lifetime serving customers. And in my personal life, serving my 6 children and my wife. So
And
it's, you
yeah,
know, it's
okay.
a consistent theme that I think we see, across everything that I do every day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
Go ahead.
And just
Sorry.
from a career perspective, I think like many people in support, I started as a support engineer, right? I answered the phone in a call center for a construction accounting software, and I worked as a tech support engineer over the phone. I was a support manager. I led professional services and have led customer success management. And throughout my career, mostly moved into venture funded companies, leading
Okay.
most of the segments of customer success and really centralized on customer experience over the last 3.5 years of Elation.
Nice. And what are some of the companies you went through?
Yep. So 10 years with Maxwell Systems, Viewpoint, essentially Bain Capital, private equity companies. 3.5 years with a Hadoop as a service company called Qubel, based as a cloud offering for Hadoop, Spark, and Presto. 3.5 years for Imply, real-time streaming with Apache Druid. And then the last 3.5 years with Elation, which is data catalog and data governance. Really, most of my career is focused on very technical products focused in the big data space.
Yeah, I can see that. So we had a very quick chat like 2 weeks ago, and usually, when I start talking to someone I didn't know before, which was like our case, I'm trying to understand what makes them a bit special. What's their little thing, and there is really something that stick to me after our chat is you basically told me, Max, at the end, like, and you're gonna correct me, and but you told me, Max, at the end, support is a very operational role, um, and I believe that I could apply a playbook to every new company I would join, and I would be as successful as I am today in my role of VP support experience.
Yeah,
So I
I mean,
was like,
I think you
go
nailed
ahead.
it. I've had the pleasure or challenge or unique experience of doing most of the sides of pre and post sale, whether that is support or it is customer success management or professional services or account management or sales. And most of those, whether it be CSM or account management or sales or even product, there's a whole lot of gray area in them, right? It's iterative. It's based on the product that you're using. Things are moving and changing often, and
Yeah.
results are not as guaranteed. Like you can run the same playbook, and half the time you're going to miss. Um, People have been building incredible, well run, and top of market support groups for 30 or 40 years, right? And there's certain fundamental aspects between human and process that can ensure a really successful org, high CSAT, and really good gross revenue retention. And so
Nice.
I have centralized on some key fundamentals that I believe that can be transferred across companies and products, but it does require a certain company wide investment to kind of build, I don't know, what you call it, the machine
Yeah.
that will guarantee repeatable success.
Yeah. And so most of the people who are going to listen us are support leaders, so director of support, VP support. Um, and I found out that most of the VP support, just as in your case, climb up all the layer, right? And you have a lot of like first time um, support leaders who just uh, don't really know um, how to start, where to go. So the main idea like today is really to try to dig into this playbook
Yeah.
thing, because I like people who listen us to basically be able to get some ideas they can try on their own. You know, um,
Uh,
so yeah, maybe my first question for you would be, how did you first, you know, develop what you call today the playbook? Is it born like out of trial and error? Um,
Absolutely. I would be
okay.
a liar if I didn't say I've failed a ton of times. I mean, oftentimes, everything, even support case handling, is all based upon generating a hypothesis, right? You get all the facts together, build an educated guess, and put that into action. And just like anything in leadership, you fail a lot. And you fail a lot when you make assumptions not based upon the right data. And you know, I like to hold myself accountable and know that I've made a lot of those mistakes in my career. But I do believe that like fundamentally it's based upon humans and hiring. And I think that one of the biggest problems a lot of support leaders have is that in general, they tend to be really technical people. And
Yeah.
so hiring is not their favorite thing to do. But hiring the right people and putting the right players on the field is your number one responsibility as an executive or as a leader. And I do think sometimes that's a little bit missed in this profession as we're just focused on solving problems and break fix and putting the most technical people in the field, which don't necessarily make the best leaders. And they don't actually necessarily make the best support engineers because they
Yeah.
don't necessarily love working with other people.
The thing is just like, if you take like the sales department,
Yeah.
it's usually like super clear to see who's the good ones and where are the bad ones, right?
Yeah.
I feel that in support, it's your duty as a support leaders to have, the clarity of like who's good, who's not. And from what I've seen, like usually like people sometimes don't even know how to check that, right?
Yeah.
How would you do that? I'm curious. Like,
People tend to laugh. Many people who know me well, they know I tend to say the same thing over and over again. But I believe like there's this ethereal concept of the helper gene, right? These are these people with this high helper gene IQ that just aren't going to sleep well at night knowing their customer is upset, or that great friend of you that you have that checks on you because they know that you're unhappy, right? And so like you want the leaders in your org or your support engineers at a base level to have that DNA and that quote helper gene, which isn't going to rest knowing that their customers or their teammate, internally or externally, is having a hard time. Those are the
I
people
like
that
this
are
idea.
going to go
And
that extra mile.
I can definitely see, not even talking on my professional life, but on my personal life, like if I take my friends, the one who have the upper gene from the one who doesn't.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, makes sense. Something I will add to, I don't know if you agree or not with me, uh, but I found out that the curiosity in general is something like a good thing to look like. You have like people who are like ultra curious,
Yep.
tend gonna be like people who are gonna, go one step ahead and end up like just giving this little extra thing that makes support great versus like just a person, that is not curious and
Yeah, I
give.
mean, I couldn't agree with you more. It's the people that want to know a little bit more about the humans that they're helping. They're going to invest in asking personal questions to see how people are or what they're doing with their holidays, that are going to invest that energy in building that human relationship, that their customers know that there's a human being there that wants to help them. Number one. And two, when they're working in technology, they're going to spend that extra time trying to figure out what the heck that button does, why it works that way, and what's the intent of it, rather than only dealing at a surface level with any given problem.
Yeah, yeah, definitely agree. So what's the core philosophy behind your playbook? Because like you're talking about the people, so
Yep.
this, yeah, that's great. What about
Yep.
processes, or is it like
Absolutely.
something
So,
differently? Like what I would say, like the big pillars basically of like
yeah.
when you
So
arrive to a new
there's
company.
human, and then there's a defined, clear case handling methodology. How do you engage your customer? How do you ensure that each and every ticket is a story? It's a story that starts at chapter one and finishes with an agreed upon ending. And I think oftentimes most people try to skip chapters. They don't develop characters and they don't actually understand when that story ends. And so like we have a clear case handling methodology at Elation. It's a similar one we've used at Imply or different places that starts with human. It moves into hypothesis. It moves on to help, which is your path to resolution, and then moves on to wowing, closing that ticket and closing the loop on knowledge. And so I really believe that case handling itself is an art form. There
Okay.
is a like certain types of cultures that just want to move right to solutioning. And it's all about break fix and playing that horrible game of ping pong where you're just at a trial and error. But like a really well founded case handling methodology where you have identified yourself as a human being that wants to help. You have worked with the customer using a Socratic dialogue to agree upon a hypothesis, and then working that resolution ends up consistently offering a higher quality of support and experience.
Okay. So how does that work? Like, how do you? So you have this methodology, but how? If tomorrow you are after a new company, how does that work? How do you implement it? Like, how?
Yeah. It's I at my first company I worked for, when I answered the phone, hello, this is Daniel Rose at Maxwell Systems. How can I help you with your accounting software? This is not mine. I stole this idea. I had a leader named Michael Strasia that said, we need to wow with every touch. That means that every single engagement you have via email, chat, or a call or whatever, you're adding value, right? If
Okay.
it's the beginning of that call, you are introducing yourself as a human, you're up leveling the care in the call, and you're beginning to work on a solution. Like my biggest pet peeve is, thank you for opening a ticket. Let me review. We'll get back to you sometime. You're essentially providing a help desk like experience and installing no confidence in that customer. And so, like, you need to see yourself moving the ball with value across that engagement and then separating out that cases in different stages with clear transparency with the customer, knowing where they are and what all the next steps are. If you do that, your customer is going to have confidence in the plan. They're going to work with you and be positive. If you
Yeah.
don't install that confidence, they're going to drag their feet. They're going to push back. They're not going to understand the why.
Sure. And sorry,
Yeah.
I've been sick for a
There's
few
so
days. It's
many
horrible.
bugs going around right now, my friend. I have 6 children. Half
Wow.
of them are sick right now, and I
I
get it.
have two, and the two are like sick as hell. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Dude, I'm
um,
with you, brother.
how do you define success? Like when you use your playbook. So if you're in somewhere and you start like implementing everything,
Yep.
what's your North Star? Like how?
Yeah, I'd say there's more, right? There's the human in hiring, there's case handling methodology, and the biggest fundamental along with the human aspect for me is implementing knowledge centered support. right?
Okay.
One-to-one solving every ticket without knowledge sharing is just too expensive. So there is a whole community around KCS. I learned it 15 or 20 years ago and became a certified. I've been a knowledge program manager and implemented it at every stage of company. So the real success in a program is not just wowing the customer with every touch, but it's empowering self-service, right? That means that when your support engineer is working on a ticket and they can't find the answer within internal or external knowledge bases, they solve the ticket, they generate the article, then every single support engineer or customer that runs into that issue can then resolve that issue either on their own or faster. And so the best organization in the world not only has a really high CSAT and incredible feedback from their customers, but a really high case deflection, right? That means that a higher percentage of customers are resolving issues on their own.
D'accord.
When you look at like a digital transformation graph on business value, like you have a straight line up top. When a customer runs into a technical issue, they begin to drop below that line of business value. The average engineer, they go search Google, they go search the docs, they go search your help center. They want to do everything they can before they open a ticket because they're an engineer. They want to solve
Yeah.
stuff on their own. So if you have a really well-built digital experience with a strong knowledge base, you're going to get your customers back to business value faster. And I really believe that knowledge center support is undervalued in our whole environment, because what's better than being able to solve one to many instead of
Yeah.
one to one all the time?
Now, especially now with AI and stuff, I mean, this is a core of everything, right? Like that isn't going to be used for everything. How I'm curious, like, what's talking about methodology? Like, what's a good methodology, like, to just set up a good knowledge center? Like,
Yeah,
is it like every time, like, I'm like a support engineer, I close a ticket. Do I need to go at something like? What's your
it
take on
starts
that?
a
Like,
lot more higher level than that. So knowledge center support is a program that needs executive buy-in. This is an investment where you're going to invest in your entire team's getting certified. You have different programs from knowledge domain experts to mentors, and you're training these people how to use this methodology each and every day. It extends from training to bonuses to on performance and knowledge quality and reuse and attach. And so there is a entire conferences and training and theories about how to do this well. And it
okay,
teaches support engineers to work totally different. You can think about it like you enter your ticket, you've moved through human, you've identified yourself as a human being that wants to help, you've aligned with the customer on a hypothesis of what the problem statement is. At that point, when using the right knowledge loop, you start searching the support engineer. You search your internal knowledge base, you search your docs, etc. If you find it, awesome. You share that knowledge back to the customer. It speeds MTTR, mean time to resolution, and brings customers to where they want to go. If they don't find it, they then have a responsibility to build that article or that knowledge content and then attach it to that ticket at the end. So what that does is the information is fresh. They're increasing the value of your support organization, and they're reducing the overall cost to it. So if you're like a customer experience executive, one of your main tasks is driving down the overall cost of customer engagement, right? So like if you're having to solve every ticket with a human, your overall cost to serve is really high.
sure,
But if you're only having to serve 75% of those requests, you've then saved 25%. In some cases, that's 5, 10, or $20 million based upon the size of your organization. And so that efficiency in today's times, which some might say are incredibly economically lean, is the story that each and every VP of finance or CFO wants to hear. I know that I'm on budget review number 67 at the moment. And those are the stories that I'm being asked to tell every day, is how am I going to improve that year over year? And you do that through knowledge management. You do that through automation. You use it through AI, you do it through coaching and training. That's your responsibility. At the same time, you're providing answers to customers faster and you're improving the possibility of them retaining your software.
Makes total sense. Easy.
Yeah, it's just, but the truth is, it takes on average 2 years to implement a successful knowledge program.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, so yeah, that's I mean, it's
Yeah.
not something you do overnight.
No, there's a quarter or two of certification and training. There's another couple quarters of mentorship and cultivation of how to do it. And then you have to invest in tools to bring those articles to customers. And right now at Elation, we are 2.5 years in. We have 5,500 knowledge based articles, and we're really mature, but it takes like a company wide investment. A company needs to continue investing in the cost of these knowledge programs, the tools that it needs to be successful, and bluntly, support engineers need a carrot. You got to
You- You're, t-
incentivize them to do that.
you're talking about this certification. What's the name exactly if people want to look for it?
So, knowledge centered support
Okay.
is the Knowledge Centered Services is an organization. It's been around forever. It's a consortium of knowledge, and I can share all this information with folks after. But I would bet on them. I've invested in them in all the phases of my career, and it works. It's tried and true. Some of the largest organizations in the world use it, but it requires a regular commitment. Most companies will start it, de-invest, and it will fall apart. I'd say 85 to 90% of knowledge programs worldwide never get to the stage that Elation has got to today.
Okay. So yeah, 2 years. I was gonna ask you, like, is there what are like the quick wins basically of your playbook? Like, let's say tomorrow you have to a new company. What's the one or two things that you think might really like be a game changer after like maybe your first quarter?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I think most importantly, when you join a new company, you can't join that new company to just start telling everybody what they need to do to get better. You need to start listening and figuring out where the pain points are. When I got the opportunity to join Elation, I went and interviewed 60 customers and went and met with every support engineer, met with the majority of the sales team, the product team, and the engineering team, and built like a scatter plot or bubble
Okay.
graph of like what were the biggest concerns, right? And once I did that, number one was I want to speak to somebody in my region to reduce the amount of back and forth on my ticket. Second was it takes too long to resolve our tickets. And third was I'd pay more for a higher level of support if I could get one. And so really three common themes. And one was regional based. At that point, we were doing the majority of our support out of one region in the world. And then it was building out the support organization around the world. So what we did is we built out customer support into high and low cost locations for the three primary regions of the world. That'd be the Americas, Europe, and APAC. So we do India and we do Australia, we do UK, we do Bulgaria, Poland, we do the Americas, and we do Chile. And so when you open a ticket with Elation, it says, what would you like your preferred support region to be? You pick one of those three. We work our absolute best to get help in that region. We use that preferred support region in all of our headcount planning. So right now
Nice.
we have 62% of our customers request Americas. We hire 62% of the people in one of those two locations.
Nice.
Um,
So
Mean
listening
time to
to people.
resolution. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it says, yeah, listening to people, just taking the time to meet with everyone and like taking the lessons from like
Yeah. I
all
mean,
the interviews.
we let them tell us. And then we came back and I presented these theories back to everybody with potential outcomes. If we did this, would you feel better about it? And so we presented our ideas back. On mean time to resolution, we align that with the knowledge centered support and with we would pay more. We implemented multiple support levels to bring revenue back into the organization and begin to fund that. There's a rumor that finance likes it when you bring money back in.
Apparently.
Yeah, it's a shocker.
Uh, and I'm curious. So you like you interview your customer and like you got like those three stuff like um, what came out of the interview with like the support engineers? Because I guess you interview them too, and they tell you, I don't know, I'm unhappy with
Absolutely.
this, and blah, blah. Do you remember or
Oh
what came
yeah. I
out?
mean, this number one was I have to reinvent the wheel every time. Every time I have
Okay.
a ticket, I got to figure out how to solve it. I do have some Google Docs I made over here. I have some post-it notes over here about what I should do, right? But there was no common theme, right? And that was solved through knowledge. Second was this can be too hard, right? These logs aren't manageable. If we change the product this way, it would really help us, right? And we consolidated that product feedback. We provided that back to our engineering and product organization, and out came, changes to how the product worked that we were able to solely attribute to mean time to resolution, right? And the the truth is, customer support, we shouldn't be building armies. We're there to support the product. The easier the product is to use, the less support engineers we need. Those are the products that end up being most successful. So we have a responsibility in customer support or customer experience to take that feedback back, give it to product and engineering, and then convert that to a company-wide KPI that motivates that change, right?
Yeah.
Like if we change A, B, and C in the product, that will save us Y amount of dollars. And so, but those are like company altering decisions that lead us all to the outcomes that we really like.
Yeah. Um, Talking about KPIs, like, so there is, I would say, like a similar playbook. I mean, you believe you can run a similar playbook
Yeah.
from one company to another. What about the KPIs? Like, do you look at the top cap? I mean, do you think the top KPIs are kind of always the same in support or not? Not
They're
necessary.
pretty similar. It could change somewhat based upon product, but the outcomes semi remain the same.
So what would be like
Adulation,
the top one for you that, if tomorrow you come to a new company, you need to track from?
well,
The
I
first
mean,
day
the
to
top one is always CSAT, but it's a lagging indicator, right? Like when I joined Elation, CSAT was as low as 79. But it's a lagging one. It's due to a bunch of fundamental KPIs that you can make changes to faster. Uh, I will brag and say we finished last quarter at 99, and I could not be more proud.
aiming to 100.
Yeah, I mean we had, I think we have on average right around 350 to 400 CSAT responses every quarter from a total of about 4,000 tickets, and it equated to something like 5 neutral or negative responses over a 3-month period. And,
Yeah,
it's the best I've ever seen. It takes a
nice.
near maniacal attention to detail and focus,
I can imagine. Yeah.
because it, it only takes a second, to miss a customer expectation. Um, on the KPI front, while CSAT is important, there's other things that you need to really look at. Number one for me is the concept of ticket aging. And ticket aging to me means how long, on average, are tickets sitting in support engineers' queues awaiting response. So we have a clock that starts from the moment a customer responds to you and it's sitting awaiting support engineer action for them to start responding. And so we have a goal to respond to every single ticket with a value-based response within 48 hours. On average, what that means is that all of our tickets are always moving forward.
Yeah.
They
Because
always have.
value-based response, I mean, if you answer them like, thank you for your ticket, doesn't count, right?
No. And if a customer is sitting there for a week, not knowing the status of their tickets, it's going to be an escalation point. And
Yeah.
so, right, we have a goal that 90% of our tickets at the end of a quarter are in that window. And that means that they're all moving forward. And so that's a KPI that I've recognized in my career. When that's higher than 15 or 20%, CSAT's lower. There's
Yeah.
just a direct correlation between customers having to wait too long. That also ensures that your mean time resolution is staying low and you're meeting and exceeding customer expectations.
Yeah, makes sense. And if we're talking about KPIs more on the team side, agent
Yep.
side, like what are you looking at, like to see if an agent is good or not? Do you?
Say that one more time.
So sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. I was like, you're talking like the way I see it is like right here we're talking about KPIs um, on the customer side somehow.
Organization
What
wide.
about like yeah, but what about like the uh, the customer support? I mean, I'm going to rephrase it one more time. Uh, do you measure like specific KPI on a personal level for your agents?
To a degree, we have minimum goals and targets for case closure for support engineers based upon their level, right?
Okay.
Eh, In your, we have a expected ramp time for every support engineer to get to an average of around 55 tickets a quarter. Um, but we completely understand that there's a variation, and it's based upon experience and complexity. Some months that might be 70 or 80, and some months that might be a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Um, Once you achieve a higher place in staff, senior staff, or principal, we want that number to go down. We want your time spent on the most complex cases, spent on mentorship, training, and specialization. Uh, we also have really big targets around knowledge management. So we have something called PAR, which measures the amount of articles and, more importantly, the quality of the articles and reuse. And so that's a really key component that we measure the success and bonus upon. So, like,
Yeah.
we have a bonus plan at Elation for support engineers that is 25% company number, 25% CSAT, 25% knowledge, and 25% aging. So they have a company number, they have team numbers in CSAT and aging, and then an independent number on knowledge. So their work every day individually and as a team is affecting bluntly their paycheck, right? They have a bonus that is really reflected on how they're performing as an organization, rewards them for it, which I
Yeah.
think is really, really important.
Yeah. Um, I wanted, I wanted also like when I'm chatting with like support leaders, I feel like there is something, and you talk a little bit about it, but something that's coming back a lot is like people are having a hard time basically to get buy-in from leadership, peers, and sometimes even the support team itself when they introduce, a new way of working. So how how do you do that? I understand that. So you went to interview like the people, but how do you sell everything to the C level? Because I guess you need budget, you need everything. So
Yeah.
how do
So
how do you do
usually it's
that?
starting with building an agreed upon vision. So after we
Okay.
did the customer interviews and the internal videos, I literally went on tour. I built a deck of hypothesis and alignment, and whether through traveling to each peer, getting one-on-one meetings with all my stakeholders, and get alignment on it.
Okay.
And will this make us better? Do we believe that this will take us to the place that we want it to be? And in my case, when I got hired at Elation, I feel really lucky. Our CEO Satyan, it was open to investing largely in this goal of taking us to the top of market with support. And then went ahead and took that alignment and then turned that inward and went to the team and asked them what they wanted to do. Were they aligned on this vision? Were they ready to make this happen? And then getting leaders that wanted to do that with me.
Yeah. And so I remember when we had a chat a few weeks ago. Uh, you mentioned quite a few times budgeting, in a sense that I mean there is two things that stuck me. First, you said that a lot of leaders were very bad at budgeting skills, right? And I think I remember you were mentioning that for you it's one of the top um, skills you need to have to be
Yeah.
like a good leadership.
I think I feel lucky that I've had a little bit more of a broad career outside of support. whether it be on the sales side or the customer success side, where like some of my biggest partners internally are my HR business partner, my talent business partner, my finance business partner. Uh, well, today I have a HR partners, Liz and Marlene. I have finance business partner, Xavier. And these people, on a side of just really helping me, they know and understand what and why I'm trying to build. Right. And is so like from a recruiting standpoint, they know me, they're able to sell me as a leader, and they're able to hire the kind of people that we need. And from a finance perspective, they understand the vision of what we want the support team to become. And I help them by providing them the right data, right? Like finance is a data driven system. So you
Yeah.
need to be able to forecast with the right knobs. Finance likes knobs that they can turn to take budget where they want it to go. So you have to be able to give them an understanding of forecasting where we're going to be this year, next year, and the year after, and be able to tell the right story. And you need to be prepared for those conversations. Otherwise it becomes really uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I feel this is really like where people are lacking. I mean, where most of like support leaders are lacking today. It's like the,
Yeah. I mean, I
the
think
financial talks and the financial budgeting and everything.
you got to love your data, and you got to be able to get in your data. Like I can write some pretty okay SQL, but I love building myself charts and data, whether it's putting everything in Sigma or Tableau and finding the trends, figuring out those trends that run across your customers. And if you can then figure out how to forecast and do it right, you need to be able to hire ahead with the right amount of people to be successful. And I think, most businesses will shortcut that, and they'll
Yeah.
try to assume that we can save money next year and not based upon data. And you have to be prepared to defend those with data and turn around what happens, right? If CSAT drops from 99 to 96, what does that mean for the business? And you're able to come back and go, well, that means that on average, we can imagine gross revenue retention is going to reduce by this percent. And find those aligned company-wide financial metrics that you can build a plateau to ensure you get the money that you need. But if you're
Yeah.
just saying just because to a finance guy or woman, I'm so sorry, they're going to laugh at you, right? They're going to be like, y'all, just because $1 million off your budget. So you need to be able to tell a story that they can defend. And I'm lucky enough to have a great team at Elation that helps me with that. But you need to come prepared with the data to tell your story.
I feel like a lot of people are like, just like they're having such a hard time to just uh, put some numbers basically in front of all their support processes, changes, and whatever they want to implement.
Yeah. Like
Um,
there's some fundamental things like ramp time you have to account for in hiring support. You account for what percentage of your support engineer's day do you want spending tickets, right? They can't work 100% of their day.
yeah,
They have to work on skills. They have to attend internal meetings. They have to work on knowledge. So then you have to be able to adjust these dials for percentage of day, amount of tickets you expect to close with that percentage of use. You need to predict that you're going to lose support engineers on occasion, create padding to allow for the ramp time of new support engineers. And then really importantly, in today's economic climate, be able to budget to hire in high and low cost locations to ensure continuity.
yeah,
Like you have to be able to be flexible while still able to maintain the level of quality of support that you give. And that flexibility is really hard. And I think like for the majority of technically minded folks, they just want to go help customers. And so
yeah,
getting into these ethereal budget level conversations that seem inflexible is exhausting.
yeah.
And so you have to find a way to enjoy it. I personally enjoy it, but I think I fall in the less than
Is it?
1%.
Yeah, a lot of headaches for for many of the
Yep.
support
But
people. But
fundamentally, like your job as a leader is to put the best team on the field. That's it.
yeah, yeah,
Besides all the process and all that funky stuff, you have to put the right team on the field. To do that, you have to love hiring, get focused on sourcing, and in order to even do that, you got to have the right budget. Like it actually is like number one of what you need to do to like field a great team is to have the budget buy-in to get those people out there.
Definitely. Um, Out of curiosity, you were mentioning, so for example, you, if you took Europe, so you were, for example, hiring like in UK and Bulgaria, is it like you get like the low skills people from for being like frontline agents, and then level two, level three in like where you feel the high skill location, or is that like I mean,
So
what's the
I do
reflection
not
behind?
run I do not run a tiered organization.
Okay.
I have spent the majority of my career in enterprise software. I have not seen a successful small to medium sized company running a lot of these tiered. I definitely see the need, but in our case, we run a one tier. So our
Okay.
team members in UK are just as skilled as our friends in Poland and Bulgaria. Same goes for Americas and Chile and India and Australia.
Okay.
They're all trained with the same skills. They're all trained and ready to handle the majority of those tickets. We do have specialization programs and subject matter expertise that sometimes we'll need to collaborate with other support engineers that might have a better knowledge in, say, authentication
Yeah.
or distributed systems or upgrades or backups. But each and every person on the team is absolutely incredible.
So can you tell us a bit more how your model works if it's not tiered? I know it's becoming quite the way to go right now, like
Yeah.
non-tier level.
I mean, bluntly, right now we have a pull model where we work through and pull all these tickets as based in the come in based upon their support level
Okay.
by region. Like right now in Europe, we're handling 99% of those tickets in region. Ticket comes in from a customer in Europe requesting European time zone support. One of our caring and incredible support engineers in either UK, Poland, or Bulgaria will take the ticket and move it forward.
Gotcha. Okay.
We are
Nice.
moving to a push model based upon our scale. It's time. Right around 4,000 tickets a quarter just to ensure SLA response times and meet customer demand. Um, but, we moved from a tiered model where CSAT was really low at Elation.
Yeah.
And the truth is, customers want business value based positive responses right away.
Yeah.
There
I
is an
agree.
inherent risk in moving from tier to tier. There's a lack of knowledge, a lack of context, tickets get lost. Your chances of failure greatly increase. And at least at our size, it makes the most sense to do it this way.
So those people have the ownership of the ticket from beginning to the end?
That's right.
Yeah. Gotcha. Nice. Um, Coming back to the playbook, I call it the playbook, but it means so many things. Like, what do you think is the most significant change that you've made? Is that like something that, I don't know, um, you were totally wrong and you changed your mind recently, or maybe not,
Yeah,
but
I'll admit, up until 2 years ago, I wanted nothing to do with automation and AI. I was fine with like automating ticket closure, and building some simple automations. But we've invested in a few platforms, Momentum and the Loops, which allow us to summarize all of our Zoom calls and allow us to provide customer summaries right away of every call that they have. We have the ability to funnel tickets in different ways, do sentiment analysis to find customers that are upset that need a higher review, find tendencies in tickets to build knowledge articles, and the ability to speed up time to value, de-risk customers is immense. And so I'm completely sold on these technologies. They're not easy to implement. Like you need to start really, really slow and find use cases and wins for them. But
yeah,
cannot imagine running my business without them.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Um, I see that we are running low on time, so just a few questions to finish.
yeah.
Was wondering if you know you have any external factors like mentors, or like how do you get help from people like I mean, do you get help from people in the industry? Do you talk with the other support peers? Like, oh,
Absolutely. I mean, I feel incredibly lucky that I have incredible mentors that I call for advice in my career. Um, I have friends that have become nearly best friends or family from multiple jobs that, I talk to almost every day, and I actually have a call in a little while with a colleague. And basically I asked for the call because it says, "Am I crazy?" Meaning that, like, we all need some feedback, like, right? Like, things like imposter syndrome and all these doubts that we get can be real, right? And you need to have peers that you really, really respect, that you can share these things with, and are honest enough with you to tell you when you are crazy, right? And tell you that, give you some feedback. And I think that if you put yourself on an island and you're not open to that feedback and you don't wanna grow, like, you're gonna stifle yourself and you're probably not gonna be as happy. Right? Because you need a real clear vision of the world that is rooted in reality.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, Something else I wanted to ask you, like, do you think there is anything unconventional or even like controversial about your playbook compared to
Yeah,
the
I
standard
think I do
industries?
things in a much more human way, right? Everything for
Okay.
me is about friends and family and service. Like, I mean, I travel the world and I send people notes on LinkedIn that have never met me and go try to ask them to be my friend and see if they might be a good fit in my organization. But I do
Nice.
feel like, it's not conventional. I feel like most people in support are not used to talking that way. They're not used to, coming to a hiring happy hour in Chile and getting greeted with a hug and
But
getting
I'm
yeah,
I'm thinking I'm stopping you a bit. I think this is the way we met. You shoot me
yep,
a LinkedIn message,
that's right.
and here we are today.
Yeah.
So
So I just, I come from a little different of a background. I have done a lot of traveling and, I love people, right? Like, I think maybe I wished I was an engineer, but I'm just not smart enough. But I love people. I love helping people, and building teams has always brought me a ton of joy and a lot of pride. And so for me, I think I do it a little bit different. I think most people like it, but you know,
yeah,
I,
I don't.
it is me. We got to deal with the cards that we're dealt.
That's perfect. So I think we're gonna finish like with like those nice words. Maybe I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add? Or
Yeah, I mean, this the only thing that I want to say is a lot of people want to grow into executive leadership roles. I think a lot of people should think about why they want to do it, right? And figure out there's a lot of innate responsibility in it and a lot of responsibility to help and nurture people along in their careers. And, there's a big difference between being a strong technical champion and being a leader. And that's something we deal with a lot in support. And
yeah,
I would
and
say, think about that a lot.
I guess like it's fine if you're not meant to be a leader too. Like I met so many people who just so happy like being in the trench and like solving tickets.
Yeah.
Um,
I couldn't agree more. It's a tough one, but for me, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. It also caused a lot of sleepless nights, but I couldn't imagine doing anything different.
Nice. So anyway, holidays are coming. Hopefully you can take a few days off,
Yeah.
enjoy with your family and friends. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, Daniel. I guess if you can be found on LinkedIn, so if you guys want to reach out to Daniel, you can do so. Send him a
Awesome.
nice human message, and
Please, all bad jokes and are always welcome. And I hope you feel better, Max. I'll see you soon. And
yeah.
it was an absolute honor, brother.
Thank you so much.
All right. See
Bye
you, man.
bye.
Bye.